Today we've got the Sigma 35mm f1.2 and the Sony 35mm f1.4 G Master. Two legendary 35mm locking horns in one legendary face-off. Which one will come out on top? Let's find out. Okay, we can't start this test without addressing the elephant in the room. And by elephant, I mean this big bastard of a lens. Just look at it! Some would say that this Sigma lens is so fat, it even makes your mama look thin. But in all seriousness, the Sigma is huge. It's almost double the size and weight of the G Master. So although it does sport a super wide maximum aperture of f1.2 versus the GM's 1.4, this does come at the slight risk of severe spinal injury. Size, weight, and your mama jokes aside, they both include proper dust and weather sealing, including a rubber O-ring around the lens mount, a manual MF to AF switch, a customizable AF lock button, and a declickable manual aperture ring. Both of these lenses are immaculately made. The Sigma sports a predominantly metal build, whilst the Sony is largely made from a composite material. Both lenses have a rubberized focus ring that rotate in a nice smooth motion, with the Sony in particular being very responsive and nice to use. The Sigma unfortunately suffers from a small amount of delay between your hand movements and the focus actually shifting, and to make things slightly worse, the dial has quite a heavy resistance to it with a monstrous amount of range. And this means completing longer focus balls can get a bit uncomfortable, requiring you to rotate your wrist 180 degrees around the lens barrel. When it comes to price, it does get a little bit confusing, because here in the UK, the Sigma is around £300 cheaper than the Sony, whilst in the US, the Sony is actually $100 cheaper than the Sigma. So rather than dwelling on this point for too long, for the sake of this video, I'm just going to give both of these a point here. But if you live in the UK, then give the Sigma the point, and if you're watching in the US, hiya, give the Sony a point instead. When it comes to awarding points for build, I think both lenses deserve a point apiece, but for handling, the Sony GM is my clear winner due to its smaller frame and lighter weight, making it a much more manageable beast. When it comes to autofocus in good lighting conditions, both of these lenses are quick and accurate, though I must admit the Sony did feel like it had the quicker AF of the two. In extremely low light conditions, the AF speeds did slow slightly, but they were both still totally usable, and neither of them showed any signs of hunting. When shooting wide open in high-speed continuous mode, both of these lenses did an exceptionally good job of keeping up with a moving target. The Sony did provide the best result, with all of the images being perfectly sharp and in focus. With the Sigma results, only one of the shots was very marginally out of focus, with the rest being tack sharp. Though I can't be too harsh on the Sigma in this round, because it did have the slightly tougher job, seeing as its wider maximum aperture of f1.2 meant that it had the smallest area of sharp focus to work with. So with such a close result, I'm going to award both of these lenses a point in this round. Switching over to video mode, and whilst filming Georgia walking towards the camera at the lenses' respective maximum apertures, both lenses were able to keep up without any issues. When repeating this test at a faster pace, I gained exactly the same results, with both lenses managing to keep up with the action. As for AF noise, the Sony G Master is absolutely whisper quiet. The Sigma was also very quiet, though our camera's built-in microphone did pick up a very small amount of motor noise. You may have also noticed from these two videos just how much faster the Sony is to focus. This thing is absolutely rapid. When it comes to focus breathing, the results are night and day. The Sony has a horrific amount of breathing, and although the results created by the Sigma do have a touch of focus breathing, the results are far more reasonable. However, it is worth mentioning that for anyone who does own or is planning to own the new Sony A7 Mark IV, then this probably won't be something you need to worry about, as this camera has a built-in focus breathing compensation setting. So at the end of this round of testing, once again, the results are way too close to call an overall winner, so both lenses get a point apiece. In our Bokeh balls test, the wider maximum aperture of the Sigma means that you get slightly larger orbs, but other than that, the results are actually pretty similar, with both lenses creating round orbs in the middle that turn into cat's eye shapes towards the edges of the frame. When it comes to general bokeh quality though, in my opinion, the Sigma provides a smoother and thicker defocused area when compared to the G Master. So in this round, the Sigma just beats the Sony to receive the winning point. When it comes to lens flare, the Sony GM has less ghosting than the Sigma, and although although both lenses feature artifacting, it's definitely less prominent in the G Master footage. I should also mention at this point that both of these lenses do come included with lens hoods, which will help to guard against the effects of flaring in harsh lighting conditions. On a longitudinal chromatic aberration test, both of these lenses offer a pretty good performance, with only a small trace of coloured fringing both above and below the areas of sharp focus. When shooting with these lenses out in the real world though, they're both capable of producing stunning looking images. In terms of overall sharpness, the results are incredibly close, with both lenses producing tack sharp images even when shooting wide open at their respective maximum apertures. It's only when you really take a quick look at the lens charts that you can see that the Sony is marginally sharper with better contrast than the Sigma when shooting wide open. The Sigma lens does suffer from a touch of barrel distortion, though the Sony has the opposite effect and has pincushion distortion, but honestly, neither lens was bad enough for me to worry about correcting this in post-production. Neither of these lenses have any kind of colour cast, so all of the colours in your images that you capture with these lenses are going to look nice and natural straight out of the camera. Both of these lenses have quite a short minimum focusing distance, so you're able to get up close and personal with your subjects. And the good news is that even at this close distance, both lenses provide excellent sharpness even when shooting wide open. So needless to say, when scoring these lenses for image quality, it really is a close call. But when looking over the lens charts in greater detail, the Sony does consistently offer the sharpest results edge to edge with slightly better contrast overall. So because of this, I've got to give the Sony the edge in this round, and along with it, the final winning point. Now, although in my opinion, the Sony G Master is still the best 35mm currently available on the market, I've got to give it to the Sigma here. This beefcake is certainly a fantastic lens and still firmly holds onto the crown for the best bokeh in the 35mm kingdom. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, be sure to kick that like button straight in the dick for me. And if you're interested in buying either of these lenses, I have provided Amazon affiliate links in the description below as always. Thank you in advance for using those. I'll see you in the next one.